Welcome back for this week's Human Design Transit Report. And today is Wednesday, December 20th. And we are coming right up on the solstice. It's the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere and summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. But wherever you are in the world, this is a very auspicious time because we have the turning of the wheel. We're going to have the shortest day and longest night here in Northern California, which is where I am. And then it's going to turn and our days are going to start getting longer again. And in the south, it's the opposite. And so the turning of the wheel, because here the days have been getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and then they'll start getting longer and longer and longer. So this is a really great time for you just to be tuning in to what is really true for you, what really matters, and to let go what's outdated, what's not serving you, what you don't need, what you inherited that doesn't, have a place in your life anymore, and to also be calling in that which you most desire. What's going to make you feel on purpose? What's going to be your unique and powerful and important contribution to our world? Give yourself the gift of some self-reflection during this time, and it will pay off for you all year long. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into this week's Human Design Transit Report. So today, the sun moved into the gate 10 and the earth moved into the gate 15. Both of these gates are on the G center. The G center is half of the heart chakra, according to the lore of human design. And it is at the center for love and lovability, identity, and direction. And it's generally what we think of as the heart center, right? So this is really heart energy. And these are two very beautiful gates. And they really support us to come into this heart opening that we like to have this time of year anyway. So the earth is lighting up the gate 15, which, as I said, is on the G center, and it is in the logic circuit or the pattern circuit. And in traditional human design, sometimes it's known as extremes, because people who have this defined in their chart sometimes have a really hard time finding a good routine for themselves. They may like to go to bed at 2 a.m. one night and at 10 p.m. another night. They may like to eat at all kinds of different times of day and so on. So for them, there can be this irregularity and extremes in relation to routine and timing, so that the patterns can not feel very consistent with the 15. But the 15 is also known as the love of humanity or compassion. And so it is this beautiful heart energy for loving each other, right? For being able, because it is collective circuitry. So it's about the collective, right? It's about all the tribes together. It's about all the people. So love of humanity makes sense, right? And so it's really an opportunity and an invitation for us during this holiday season, wherever you are in the world, whether it's warm or cold, for us to be fostering this compassion for each other. There's so much challenge in our world right now. We've got 2 wars going on that are just kind of the big wars that you hear about. There's lots of other challenges and conflicts going on around the planet. And so it's like, how do we respond to that? How do we open up our hearts so that we can find ways not to go into violence with each other? And even more subtle forms of violence, where we're trying to one-up each other in a conversation, or we're interrupting to try to make our point, right? I mean, it might feel minor, and it might feel, even kind of fun, but take a look at that. See if there is a conditioned or a programmed way of communicating or working with other people, which isn't really compassionate, right? It's a little more like, how do I make my place for myself? How do I get my point across? How do I get my needs met, right? How do I get people to hear me? Now, some of us have a history of not being paid attention to, not having our needs met, not being listened to, right? Not receiving the attention that we need. So I get that piece. And it's our opportunity to evolve beyond that wounding, right? To give ourselves the attention and the energy that maybe we didn't get earlier on, or maybe to do it in a very kind of conscious way with other people where we're receiving, they're witnessing. This is one of the things we do inside of our Becoming Sovereign Quantum Retreat Center, which is where we see and hear and respond and witness each other. We have a community of purpose that is growing every day, literally. And so this is a place where we help to get those needs met so that we're not unconsciously acting out of those kind of unhealed places inside of us. And then when we are able to do that, both to receive the acknowledgement and affirmation from other people, but also to build our ability to do that for ourselves. And this is a lot of what Feminine Sovereignty, my new book, is about, is how do we actually heal ourselves on the inside so that we can show up as mature, solid, compassionate people and stewards of our planet. So the earth is inviting us to really ground ourselves in our hearts with a love of humanity, with love of other people, with compassion. And the invitation is to do this in places where it may not be as easy. It may be easier when people look like you, or they have a similar background than you do. They went to the same kind of schools you did. They speak the same kind of language. They dress the same way. It's easier to have compassion for people like that than it is for people who are different than we are, who speak differently than we do, have a different language, have a different religion, come from a different place. So this is really an opportunity to kind of up-level your ability to have compassion, not just for people that are familiar to you or that you automatically kind of have a heart-to-heart relationship with, but to expand that out. And this is really the spirit of Christmas, when we really zoom into it and really feel the Christ consciousness, which is about love and compassion and acceptance and being in a very high frequency. So this is a great opportunity for you to get to explore that during this transit. And then the sun is lighting up the gate 10, which is also on the G center. Now it has a very different quality though, because where the 15 was in the logic circuit and was collective circuitry, so it's about all the tribes. It's like that big Christ consciousness, if you will. So the 10 is in individual circuitry, and it's actually in 2 subcircuits of individual circuitry. So individual circuitry is here to be different. It's here to bring change. It does not fit in, and it's where the evolutionary impulse of humanity runs through the human design chart. I'm not going to go into detail about the centering circuit and the integration circuit. We don't really need to get that specific. We're just going to talk about it being individual circuitry, which is very, very different than collective circuitry. It's really about the self, and it's the gate of self-love. So the 10 is a complex gate. It has a lot of different energies moving through it. I did a whole series of videos on the G Center, and I went into that in a lot of detail. So if you go to the playlist that is Human Design Centers, you can find the different videos about that, and you can look about the complexity of the gate 10 if you want to. But really, self-love, right? Self-love. So it's like love of humanity, love of self. And what's interesting here with this particular configuration is that we're grounding ourselves in a love of humanity in order to be able to share and shine out self-love in, with that sun energy. And so a lot of times we think of it the opposite in kind of the transformational teaching world, right? It's like learn to love the self and then we'll love everyone. But there's also a way in which self-love is the final frontier. I've said that for a long time because I found that many times it's easier for people to actually love other people, forgive other people, have compassion for other people than it is for the self. Interesting, right? So the gate 10 is also known as the blame gate. So blaming self, criticizing self, making self, attacking self, right? Blame. Most of us were taught to be self-critical. Most of us were taught to not appreciate ourselves, not appreciate our value, not appreciate what we bring to the world. I think that is changing. Like the youngers, I think, are getting more affirmation of that. Although I talk to plenty of people who still feel like they're pretty programmed into that way of thinking. So when that pain of the blaming the self gets to be strong enough, then you might turn around and blame others. Blame others. It's your fault. It's not me. It's you. So you want to watch out for that one. And then you can also attract blame. If you're in an energy of blame, blaming self, or blaming others, you can attract blame from the outside. So this is a really good time for you to be paying attention to what is the energy of blame and is it getting activated in your life. And the best thing you can do when that happens, because it happens for most of us and it's going to be happening because the sun's lighting up the 10, is to ask yourself, how can I be more loving to myself? How can I be more loving to myself in this moment where either I want to beat up on myself or I want to blame myself or I want to blame something else or somebody else is blaming me? How can I be more loving to myself? It's kind of like an antidote to the blame because you can't really have love for yourself, compassion for yourself if you're in that deep blame state. And you also can't be in that deep blame state if you're really having love for yourself. So we've got a beautiful combination of us being invited into loving each other, being able to expand where we've been before as far as our compassion goes, but then also to use that as a foundation for us to love ourselves better, love ourselves more deeply, more unconditionally, to forgive ourselves for things that, we might have been carrying around for a long time, thinking something we did years ago we were to blame for. And we do this a lot as kids, like small people will blame themselves a lot of times for their parents' difficulties. They'll be like, oh, mom and dad are fighting. I must have done something. Mom left. I must have done something because she clearly doesn't love me anymore because she left. This way that, small people who don't have a lot of cognition online yet will take the blame for all kinds of things that happen in the family, like all kinds of stuff that really isn't theirs at all. So this is a good opportunity for you, if you find that may be coming up to the surface, to really love yourself through that one and to use the gate 44, which is not lit up in this transit, but it's still there and you've still felt it, which is to tell the truth about the past. Tell the truth about the past from your perspective now. Because when you were a young kid, you only had so much perspective. But now as a mature person looking back, you can be like, I wasn't to blame for that. Why did my big brother say that was my fault, right? He was caught in the blame game. He didn't want to be blamed for it, so he blamed you for it. And then he maybe told mom and dad, whatever, right? All that kind of stuff that we can do inside a family. So just really forgive yourself, love yourself, tell the truth about what is your current perspective on something in the past where you may have been blaming yourself or also blaming other people, because that's one of the benefits of maturity is we start to realize, oh yeah, that person who was blaming me or acting out or, being mean or whatever they were doing. It's like, yeah, they were stuck in their own challenges, right? And they were doing the best that they could. And yeah, they were not acting out of the highest compassion for humanity or for you or, the situation. But we can build a bigger perspective, and especially when we're grounded in that level of humanity, we can also recalibrate and upgrade our perceptions about other people as well. So I want to invite you into this beautiful, beautiful heart energy to carry you through the holidays, however you celebrate them or if you don't celebrate them. But to just know that this quality of love is available to you and to know that it's out there influencing everybody too, because the Earth and the Sun transit, they are influencing everybody as well. So just seeing how you can help foster the sense of compassion and love for self in whatever conversations you have, whatever meetings you have, whatever gatherings you're in. Because when we do that, we help to lift the frequency of the whole planet. And this is an awesome time to be doing it. I hope you'll join us in January for 10 Days of Sovereignty, which is going to happen from January 15th to the 25th. And we will have content every day during those 10 days. There'll be 5 live sessions, and we're going to just be activating and awakening your awareness of the potentials that you have in the 8 pillars of feminine sovereignty. And so you'll be able to get to just kind of dig into that a little bit. We'll do some experiential things so that you get to really feel it in your body, and you'll get to have a lived experience of it, so it's not just conceptual. And we'll be doing some energy practices together. We'll do some creativity together, because those are core parts of feminine sovereignty and core parts of what's going to help you really release yourself from programming that's no longer serving you. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about what sovereignty is. I'll have some special gifts for you, and you'll get to learn about the programs that I'm going to be doing in 2024 also that are based in feminine sovereignty. So I will put the link in the description, and I hope that you'll join us. It's totally free. It's my way to gift to you as we are moving into the new year. The Human Design New Year will happen during that time. It doesn't start till January 22nd. It's not aligned to the Gregorian calendar. And so we'll celebrate the Human Design New Year then as well. I hope that you'll join us, and I really look forward to meeting or connecting with you again then. All right. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.